What up, folks? What it do? Welcome to another episode of the Best Advice Ever podcast with your boy, Mike Goodwin, the bow-tied comedian. And as I share every week with the listeners, you, as you tune in to the Best Advice Ever podcast, I share the best advice that I've learned over the years, whether someone shared it with me, I've seen it on an interview or a podcast. And at some point, we're going to get some other guests on to share some of their best advice. But today's best advice is simply surround yourself with people that will challenge you. Now, I'll probably spend the bulk of the podcast talking about this one experience I just recently had. But as I was thinking about this best advice, I used to think that the challenge you would be like drill sergeant-esque, like be around people that made you uncomfortable. They were challenging your thinking, and I thought that would have to be an aggressive, confrontational type of challenge. And that's not the case in entirety. But for a long time, my paradigm was have people in your life that can challenge you, i.e., they could pull your coattail, they could call you out, they could hold you accountable. And all that felt very uncomfortable. It felt very confrontational. It felt very combative. And I'm not saying that you don't need those people in the circle, but the whole circle that surrounds you, or the whole force field of community, shouldn't make you feel like you're less than, right? Or make you feel like you're not doing enough. And a prime example, I was just talking to a comedian friend and mentor, a buddy of mine, Marcus D. Wiley. For years, I've been a fan of Marcus D. Wiley. If you haven't seen his special on YouTube, his marriage is major surgery. I actually was able to open up for him in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I talk to Marcus pretty regularly, like on average, at least once a week. And Marcus is not challenging me in the way of like, so Mike, what you working on? So Mike, what you doing? Like, he's actually the exact opposite. There's very little like, and we talking like we talking about marriage, we talking about parenting, we talking about sports, we talking about comedy, we talking about TV shows, we're talking about like life, like conversations. And it's never been like, oh, I got to get my act together. But we just had a conversation. So Marcus released his special. I don't even know. It's not even probably been a month, but it's been fairly recent. He's on the road opening for Ali Sadiq, and both out of Houston, Texas, and tremendous comedians. Ali Sadiq, Marcus D. Wiley, the salt of the earth type cats, man, right? But I'm talking to Marcus recently, like very not that long ago. Like before I got on this podcast to record it, I was talking to Marcus. And he just told me that his YouTube video is a special is over 2 million views. Now he had hit 1 million maybe like 2 weeks ago. So now he's at 2 million. And when I heard him say, yeah, man, we at 2 million, that challenged me, but it wasn't like, Marcus got 2 million, I need to drop a special and get 2 million. Like, it just opened my paradigm to what's available. And I have other, John Chris is a friend of mine, a comedian buddy, colleague that has millions of views on specials, but me and John we don't talk regularly, right? So when Marcus said that, like, it it elevated, it opened my eyes to something that is accessible that I wasn't thinking about. Like hey man, to get 1 million views would be incredible, but 2 million, I'm like, yo, that's fire for a comedy special. That's fire, right? And we're having this conversation. He's not boasting. He's not bragging. We talking about the NCAA. We talking about the Lady Gamecocks. We talking about the women's team. I don't know if you call it the ladies Gamecocks, but the women's team. And he was like, "Oh, I know what I meant to tell you. The special hit 2 million views. Outstanding." And so that is what I'm talking about when I say surround yourselves with people that challenge you. In essence, is not just people that make you feel like you not working as hard as you should work or not doing more than you can do, but people that are exposing you to possibilities that you never even considered. I was talking to some folks and they were saying that they were going to Wyoming or Montana, like the big, like out. Now it's not the West, but I forgot what we call that part of the country, for like a getaway, a vacation, going to see some of the national parks. The weather's good now. Like, I'm like, I want to go to Paris. I want to go to South Africa. But man, I hadn't thought about, well, yeah, it would probably be great to go to Wyoming. I don't think I've been to Wyoming. Maybe I've been. I know I've been. I have not been to North Dakota. I've been to South Dakota. So that's what I mean. And I thought about that relative to my experience this weekend. And it ties in with the best advice ever, to surround yourselves with people that challenge you, that make you see things from a different perspective. And they're not, and again, it doesn't have to be adversarial. It doesn't have to be uncomfortable. Just if you're having a conversation with someone and they was like, yeah, man, I just finished my 3rd book for the month, and you hadn't read your 1st book, or you got a buddy of yours like, yeah, pre-sales for my book start on the 5th. You're like, oh, you wrote a book? Or hey man, I just started karate classes. I don't know where karate class came from. But just folks that just by virtue of you being in their presence, they give you some game. And it's just by virtue of the caliber and quality of people that you associate with. And what really drove this home to me was this weekend we had the Carolina Cup in Camden, where I'm from, Camden, South Carolina. The Cup has an interesting history with the Cup. So first off, the Cup is basically an all-day race, horse race. I call it like Camden's version of the Kentucky Derby, but I haven't been to the Kentucky Derby. I've been to some horse races before. I remember when I visited a school, Center College in Kentucky. They took us to some races, horse track, and I forgot the name of it, but it's not the Kentucky Derby, but it's pretty notable. It's pretty well known horse stable, horse track. And the Cup is a variety of things. Like they've really done a better job of making it more corporate. I think over the last couple of years, like again, I don't have a lot of history with the Cup, just other than being from Camden and recognizing that, oh man, traffic's pretty bad that particular weekend. So true story, when I was a kid, I wanted to go to the Cup because I found out like in high school that some of my buddies were going to the Cup and they would make money by carrying coolers at the Cup. So, folks are basically tailgating and they have stuff. They got a wagon. Now people have golf carts and their wagons that they pull along. They drive up early to unload the car and then, get out of there. But back in the day, we were young cats. They would go up and, you would go carry coolers and they would give you a tip, or I don't know if there was like a standard fee, but you carry somebody's stuff to their spot, they give you some money. And so I wanted some sneakers. So I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go to the Cup and make money for some sneakers. But my dad, Super Mike, was like, nah, you're not going up there carrying them folks' coolers. Find another way to make some money, right? So I never went to the Cup. Really didn't go to the Cup. Didn't, even once I graduated from Camden, left, I went once or twice back in the day when my fraternity, we have an alumni chapter in Camden that I think we hosted a table or something at some point. But the last couple of years, I was kind of interested in the Cup for whatever reason. I know last year I was super interested in going to the Cup. Went to the Cup last year. Had a great time. I've probably been in the Cup 5 times total, if I can remember. But last year was like the time I was really proactive. Like, I'm gonna buy my tickets. I got with one of my fraternity brothers that has a setup where he has catering and a DJ, open bar, the whole nine, right? And it's close to the track. You can see the horse races. It's right there in the front. So I tag along. Me and my wife, and we'll go and hang out. Well, last year and so this is about growth. I've grown from this year, a year later. Last year, I must have been, March is always an interesting time for me in terms of the work. And I would suspect, if I look at my calendar, last year I probably was working the bulk of January, the bulk of February, and the bulk of March. And I probably saw the Cup as like, hey, that weekend's free. I'm grinding pretty hard. That'll give me an opportunity to decompress. Go to the Cup. It's my hometown, so I'm gonna see a bunch of people that I have not seen. The food's great. The fellowship's great. It's just a cool day. You get to dress in your Sunday's best, dress to the nines, and it's a good time. So that was my thought probably last year. I'm just gonna go and decompress from being on this road. So I did that. And I'm from Camden. I say it time and time again. My wife's not from Camden. And so I already knew that when I got to the Cup, there were going to be people that I ran into that I didn't necessarily needed my wife to be right there when I run into childhood friends. Like just a variety of people. I grew up in this place, so there's no telling the people that I would run into. And in some instances, I just wanted to have like a catch-up conversation with an old buddy that, we haven't been in touch. We run into each other. It's like when you meet somebody, you see somebody at the mall that you grew up with, and y'all have a conversation. You be like, man, it's good to see you. Y'all, man, I heard about this person, that person. Hey, man, we need to get together. No, we don't need to get together. We've not gotten together in the last 15 years. We just randomly ran into each other in Foot Locker. There's no need for us to exchange phone numbers. So it's that kind of energy. Like I'm never the Hollywood guy. I'm never like people. I'm never leading with, hey man, let me get your number. Like, cause if I ain't got your number by now, I probably don't need your number. Or we can get each other's number. I mean, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, you can get to people if you want to get to people, right? And so if we just run each other in Chick-fil-A, there's no need for us to play this game of exchanging numbers. Let's enjoy this interaction. Let's enjoy this dialogue, and let's keep it pushing like we've been doing for the last 15, 20 years, right? So I knew I was going to have a few of those interactions. And I just wasn't thinking that, hey, man, my wife needs to be here and all. And then some people don't know what to say. Some people don't know what to say, man. People, they knew you when you were a kid, man. You don't know what story they gonna bring. You just don't. It's too volatile. You just don't know. I had no confidence in what folks would say around my wife, right? So I had the master plan of like being with my wife, hanging out, And then like I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna go over here. I'll see somebody I know. I'm gonna go over here, chop it up, but I'm gonna come back. Well, part of the problem with that is I don't have a great sense of time. So if I run over here and I think I'm gonna go and be gone for 6 minutes and I'm gone for 20 minutes, you might start looking around like, hey man, where this dude at? Like, where this dude at? Where this dude at? So so I take that L. I take that L. So I go and I get lost and then I don't come back. And then I come back and my wife looking like, where were you at? Like, why'd you leave me over here? And I'm like, I didn't leave you over here. I just went over there to talk to my homie. Then I saw this other cat. Then I saw this other cat. And 30 minutes later, I'm back. So this year, So I did that last year. I did that, and then I had a great time. I thought I had a wonderful time. I thought I did enough. I was moving in a great kind of way where I get over there and talk to people, then get back. But at the end of the day, the end of the night, when we got in the car, we went to dinner. My wife was basically like, "Hey, man, did you not want me here? Like, what was the deal? Like, you would just leave me for stretches of time." And so I'm trying to explain, like, hey, people, I ain't seen these people in years. I don't know if I want to go through the whole thing or like this my wife, like. And at the end of it all, it sounded like I was not being considerate of my wife. Like when I listened to her perspective and I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best way to approach the situation. And again, this is a pattern of mine. I kind of, my wife, in my opinion, is not as social as I am, and she's very social. But I go off and we go to our mastermind meetings in Atlanta, and I go. Again, I've said this time and time again. I blend. I go and I talk to multiple people. I'm in multiple settings, and I move in and out. But if I go there with my wife, there's probably an expectation that I need to be spending time with my wife. And that's what I did this year. This year, I said, look, if I'm going somewhere, she going with me. And I was really on a lot of, so I grew. I grew in the area of my marriage and just, I didn't necessarily think of it as I was being more considerate. I thought less about, because I thought honestly, and I'm not being facetious, I thought it would better serve her for me just to go have these conversations and come back, which I was wrong. That did not better serve. So this time I was right there. Hey, come on, let's go. Where we going? And I initially had even like at the beginning, like we first got there, we got something to eat and we sat down. I was like, hey, I got to run to the restroom. And she was like, oh, I need to run to the restroom too. Cause I was going to probably do a little something like that. Like go find a bathroom, a little recon. But along the way, I could knock out some of these, yo, what's up, man? How you doing? Blase, blah conversations. But she was like, she needed to use the restroom too. So we both went together. And then from that point, we were there the whole time. And I was not, even if I was, because there were scenarios where I would get pulled off, but there was somebody she was having a conversation with. So I would go over, but I was still within a rock throws distance. And it felt a whole lot different for her, I'm sure. For me, definitely. I can do it either way. Like I can go roam, be free, whatever. Or I can be like, hey, what's up, man? This is my wife, Roz. I don't know if y'all met, blah, blah, blah. And so that was, and then but when we got in the car, I basically made a comment like, hey, I didn't want to get in trouble this year. And she was like, oh, you were so considerate. You're so thoughtful. And I was like, well, that's what I want. I want that. I want, at the end of the day, I would rather have my wife feel like she had a great time. She wasn't left somewhere. And I grew in that area because, again, I just was under the impression that, man, she don't want to be sitting up under these conversations. And and then some of it, is me too, because when we were walking to the spot, one of my high school teachers stopped me. So a math teacher, high school teacher stopped me. Hey, Dan Matthews, Mike, oh, good to see you. How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. We have his wife's there. Then my wife says to him, what type of student was he? See, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want to be in a thing with somebody, and then now we trying to get some info, some dirt, some information. And then I'm telling her, and then my teacher's like, oh, he's great. He was great. And I'm telling my wife, like, what did you expect him to say? Like, he stopped me. It wasn't like I stopped him. It wasn't, I was like, hey, Mr. Matthews, you remember me? Like, he stopped me. Like, we were going along, and he was like, grabbed me, like grabbed my arm. And I knew he was once he grabbed me and said who he was. But I'm like, what do you think these people go? Nobody gonna be like, he was awful. He was always cutting up, misbehaving, da 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 da. So I do. There is a sense of like, I don't want her out here trying to do some investigative report. She come back with some kind of dirt on the information, some information that I was like, hey man, that's 30 years ago, man. What are you talking about? But I grew. Grew immensely. There was a great level of growth and development in terms. I've been married. This will be 25 years in August, right? And you still grow and you still develop. So hopefully that's helpful. Another area I grew to was in my ego. In my ego, man, I was really, like I said, last year I was on that energy. Like I wanted to go have fun. I wanted to have fun, man. I just wanted to have a good time, have fun. This year, I kind of was a little bit on that campaign energy. I was like, hey, man, I got to go shake hands and kiss some babies. But why I say I grew in my ego was there was a time, and I probably didn't use the cup like this, but I'm sure I may have done a class reunion or a football homecoming where you go back and you're trying to let people see how good things are going, right? I can remember being a younger guy, and I think class reunions are a great example of this. You go back to a class reunion, I've even heard of people like renting cars that are better than the car that they drive to go back to homecoming at their college, or to go back and to kind of have this air of superiority. Look at what I'm doing. And I might have been on that energy when I was a younger comedian, when I first started comedy. Getting out on the circuit, getting shows, feeling good about myself, pre America's Got Talent, pre Dry Bar, pre all the things that I would say are like credits. There was a time I would go back and try to puff my chest up. Look at me. Look at what I've made of myself. You remember little old. I'm not gonna say my nickname on here, but y'all remember, me from back in the day. Now look at me. We got muscles, and I got a little beard, a little facial hair, nice hats, and some glasses, right? And I would go and try to, let people know how well I've been doing. And I say in this instance, I just went back home, and I was comfortable. Like there was definitely, and it was a lot of people, man, we're proud of you. Man, keep doing what you're doing. Had a lot of that. We had people that even were maybe not from Camden, but be like, man, you the comedian. Or I seen you on. And there was somebody who I did their dad's birthday party, like at a restaurant, maybe 8 years ago. It's been a minute. But I don't think I had a microphone at that show. They were there. And they were like, I don't know if you remember you did my dad's. I don't even think the restaurant's still open that I performed in. It might be. And my wife was like, you come a long ways. I was like, I don't need the commentary, ma'am. I don't need the commentary. But my ego, I was not at the cup to stroke my ego. I legitimately was just there to be there. Like I was not on one. I don't know if y'all, some people may not understand when you on one, like you really trying to, like even the suit I wore, and I was sharp. But I had another suit I wanted to wear, but my body size, I'm probably about 15. I'm probably about 10 pounds a little bigger than I need to be to have that suit. But I could have put it on. If I was ego driven, I could have put that suit on and it would have been hugging me, and I would have been walking around looking like Lou Ferrigno about to bust out of my suit jacket. But I said, no, I'm gonna be more comfortable. I'm gonna wear a suit that's probably more appropriate for what my size is right now. Because that other suit, that was the goal. The goal was to lose enough weight to be able to wear that other suit. And it just wasn't gonna happen. It just wasn't gonna happen. And I could have forced the issue. And I would have felt crazy. Cause again, I was on some, like, it would have been, because it was a sharp suit, man. It would have been a showstopper. But I'm still Mike Goodwin, man. You call me $1,000 because I be dressing. But ego, man, I'm able to, not that and I have ego. I'm not gonna sit up here and be like, oh, I'm not. It didn't feel good for people to ask to take pictures and to recognize me. That felt good, but that wasn't the primary driver of me going to the Cup. I didn't want to go to the Cup so people could say, look at, I know him. And like, no, man, I just wanted to go to the Cup to enjoy the Cup, see folks, fellowship, eat some good food, and just spend some time with my lady. So I grew on my ego. And what really brought it home was I was in MUSC, the Medical University of South Carolina, was hosting a tent. And this goes all the way back to surround yourself with people that challenge you. One thing, and this is not another piece of advice, but one thing that can be, I saw to be very true. We can all be in the same place, but have a different experience. And I saw that at the Cup, because at the Cup, there were VIP tents where you got the DJ, you got the catering, you got the real deal Holyfield. And there was some folks that just pulled up, put up a little tent, had a little fun fellowship, that little table. And they were great. They had a good time. I ain't trying to say that one's better than the other, but you can all be in the same place but not have the same experience. And I think that if you surround yourself with people that push you up and cause you to be the best version of yourself, the experiences that you have are tremendous. And I had a great experience. Again, the Cup is kind of interesting setup because it's general admissions and parking. So it's just like people that got that set up, they're tailgating, and some people have catered stuff. Some people have cooked and brought a variety of things. But then you got like the VIP, the sponsors. And one of the sponsors, like I said, was MUSC. And we had access to the tent. So they had a tent where you didn't even know you was outside, right? It's catered food. They have a band, there's seating, there's tablecloth, there's banners, there's VIP people. So I'm in this tent, and we're at the MUSC tent, and they're running. So I'm with one of my fraternity brothers, and he introduces me to this woman from Camden. Say, hey, this is Mike Goodwin. This is the young lady. She knows Jabari, who's another person from Camden. She's like, yeah, I graduated with Jabari. So I graduated a year after Jabari. So I'm like, I should know this person. I'm like, we went to school together, but I didn't know her. I knew of like her family, because her family were the doctors and the dentists in Camden. Like, there's a dentist in Camden. That was her family member. So this woman, we struck up a conversation. She graduated the year before me, and she was, did you play football? And I was like, no, I was a little string bean, because I'm a pretty big guy now. Like, no, string bean in high school. So I was trying to explain to her kind of like who I was in high school. I was like, I wasn't really notable. I wasn't noteworthy, right? I worked at Bilo. I ran on the track team. I played basketball for a couple of years, but I was not the popular guy. I wasn't a sports guy. I wasn't the man about town that I am now, right? So I'm trying to explain to her, like, hey, yeah, man, I don't know what would be. And I'm telling her, like, my classmates, people that were at school with me, which she knew many of them. And she says, and I'm trying to explain, and she says, well, whatever you've done, you've been successful because you're in the tent. And she was like, yeah, you're in the tent. And there's a lot of people that's not in the tent. And that was a really profound moment of like, hey, and I basically was like, I graduated, I joined the army, blah, 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 with my stuff. And she was like, well, whatever you did, it worked. Cause you're in the tent, my guy. So that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool experience. So I just wanted to share with y'all the idea of surrounding yourself with people that challenge you. And again, it's not have to be confrontational and adversarial, but just being exposed to something that makes you see life from a different paradigm or perspective. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning. I think that's another great episode. I did see something today driving by Sonic that said the fish sandwich is back. I didn't know we were asking for the fish sandwich. Sonic, well, y'all, maybe my listeners were asking for Sonic to bring back the fish sandwich. Well, if you didn't know, it's back. And I'm back, and I'll be back next week for another episode of the Best Advice Ever podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in. So many things going on. Upcoming, I'll be on the church comedy tour this June. We got the dates for those. Pre-sales are available. You could just go to my website and put in the passcode bowtie. I have my humor advantage intensive. We're going to move that date. So we're not going to have it on April 11th and 12th. We're going to move the date. But I'll update you with the next, the next date that will come with that. And again, I'm still trying to get fit Mike, get rid of fluffy Mike. And I'll drop some hints and codes and techniques that I've been using. One of the things too that I would share, because I like to share information. I talked about protein bars last time. You need to get some protein shakes. A little shake, like a meal replacement. It's a nice little get more protein inside of your diet. And one of the ways to do that is to get a protein shake. There's one that I get from Costco. I'm surprised I don't have it with me, but we'll put it in the show notes. I'll send it to Jeremy and he'll add it. But again, thank y'all for tuning in to the Best Advice Ever podcast. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, do the things that let people know that, hey man, we having a good time and I'm enjoying this podcast. Send me a Facebook message, Instagram message, YouTube message, email, info@comedianmikegoodwin.com. But I'll see you next week. Same bat channel, same bat place. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate it. Peace.